What is up, gamers? Staxwell's back at it again today with another meta breakdown. We had a lot of nationals wrap themselves up over the weekend, and we had a couple of big themes that I kind of wanted to talk about. For one is the resurgence of MECH, specifically Dash. A lot of Dash IO and Dash Adventure Extraordinaire has been doing very good this weekend, or the last couple weekends, I guess I should say. And then for all of the other decks, for the Zens, for the News, for the Enigmas, for the new heroes in general, America Nats, US Nats kind of led the way on innovation of those heroes and kind of setting the blueprint. And these nationals in the last couple weeks have just been going a long way on refinement. So yeah, refinement and mechanologist. Big themes moving forward in this week's winners. I am only covering the first place lists. I got like 8 first place lists here. So let's just go ahead and jump straight into it. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the last names. We have Samo winning the Slovenian National Championships with Dash IO. This Dash IO deck almost looks identical to Mara Ferris's Dash IO list. I think Mara went 7-1 with this list, or a list very, very similar to it. She put that list out there, and I think a lot of people have been testing with that and cooking with that. Just kind of what makes this deck different than the typical Dash IO lists is we have a lot of equipment hate. So things like outpace, this can't be defended by equipment. Very good to threaten a boom grenade and deny traverse value. Fender Bender gets plus, where plus is the equipment defending it. You know, kind of just targeting Zen, knowing that he wants to block with that fridge, or targeting Kayo, knowing Kayo wants to block with that fridge. Kind of makes you able to play an aggro deck that has an edge in aggro mirrors, right? A lot of 4-attack breakpoints as well. So yeah, we have the red outpaces, the red Fender Bender, Soup Up, red 0 to 60, Pulse Wave Harpoon, just a lot of 4-attack, dive through data, a lot of 4-attack breakpoints, you know, kind of just to secure those boom grenade hits. And no one's really even playing D-Reacts anymore. Like, Zen doesn't play any D-Reacts. There's no Flick Flacks, there's no Sink Belows in 90% of the list. So this kind of stuff kind of guarantees your boom grenade's gonna hit and will help you win that race quite a bit. In the sideboard, there's also Signal Jammer. Signal Jammer is kind of a cool one. Each player can't play more than one non-attack action each turn. If you stick one of these against an Azalea, particularly if you stick one at instant speed, right, they may not see it coming, and then they'll play like a Lace with Frailty, and then you'll Signal Jammer and just shut off their whole turn. Maybe they wanted to knock. Maybe if you had established this prior, they would have knocked before they laced, or laced before they knocked, or whatever. So being able to play this at instant speed is kind of cool. If you're an Azalea player and you're playing against Dash IO, just put this in the back of your mind at all times. Always trying to play around Signal Jammer if you can to the best of your ability. Powder Keg is also kind of a cool inclusion. It is probably just for like a side deck card, just a one of against Warrior. Being able to blow up Valiant Dynamo seems very good. That's the only thing that really comes to mind though with the defending equipment. If I'm missing something on that, if you guys can think of another worthwhile equipment to blow up with Powder Keg, definitely let me know in the comment section down below. Scramble Pulse, again, just another one of the equipment hate cards, very good against Zen. And then having Achilles, Viziertronic, and then Spellfray Gloves gives you AB3, Spell Void 1, plus the Teklo Foundry Heart for additional resource. Something very interesting as well is this player doesn't have Balance of Justice in the list at all. I know I've talked to some other Mechanologist players, and they've said that Balance of Justice plus Stonewall Gauntlet gives them a fantastic, huge edge in the aggro mirror against Zen. So not seeing in this list is a bit surprising. Van Brandt's obviously for Enigma, Overload Script, and Plasma Mainline for the slower, bit more grindy matchups. Yeah, overall, I like the build. I like the deck a lot, and I hope Dash IO starts to see more play because I think this is just like a fun and interesting hero. Arthur was able to take down the Brazil Nationals with Enigma. This Enigma deck reminds me a lot of like the old school day one Enigma deck list that we used to have. Nothing wrong with that at all. It just leans quite heavily into Ward with the 3 Spectral Manifestations, 10,000 Year Reunion, Waxing Spectre, Restless Coalescence. Nothing wrong with that at all. This actually gives you a huge edge in certain matchups. Certain matchups just aren't able to deal with the ward as effectively. Also introducing a lot of the new tech. This isn't just like a straight day one list, right? It cut a lot of the bad cards and put in some of the good ones like Weakest Link, Dissolve Reality, Spectral Prowler, Spears of Surreality, cut down to only 1 dense blue mist. I think that's correct. The more I play with this card, the more I hate it. And a lot of the players I talk to after US Nationals are starting to hate this card as well. Only 1 Unravel Aggression. This is another card a lot of people cut down on. 2 Ripple Away, 1 in the main, 1 in the side. People are starting to cut down on this a lot as well. 2 Amnesia, again, including these new cards, combining it with the old tech. Yeah, I was able to secure him a finish here. Also, Waves of Aquamarine and a Pummel, probably pulling a lot of inspiration from Michael Fang's list here as well. So this is kind of a cool combination, whatever you want to call it, of like almost every Enigma deck we've ever seen. It just kind of plays the cool cards of all of them. Even sporting an Orion of Mystic Tenets. All of the cheese playing like 8 cheese or 8 transcend cards. So yeah, kind of a cool list, and this list actually looks like a ton of fun. If you're a player who first seen Enigma and wanted to play Enigma, but don't like the way she's kind of going in the meta, where she's starting to look more and more like a Guardian, maybe this list is right up your alley. All right, Andreas was able to take down Denmark Nationals with Nuu, which is awesome. I think Nuu is a fantastic meta call right now. Having a good Zen and a reasonable Azalea matchup is putting her quite well positioned in the meta, especially with Enigma kind of phasing out because of Zen's popularity, because of Azalea's popularity. Of course, Enigma being a bad Nuu matchup, kind of propelling her to be a sleeper in this format for sure. A lot of spice in this list as well. Having the 1 Death Touch to be able to bring back with the Codex I like a lot. 2 Exude Confidence. I've been hearing some rumblings of this card, like trying to keep it as like a tech secret or something like that. I'm not entirely sure what you're even playing this against. Maybe you're playing it against Enigma to be able to deny all of the instant value or something like that. That doesn't quite make sense to me, because I guess they could just play it in response to this card. But maybe it's possible that they don't want to. I'm not sure. If you guys know what Exude Confidence is for, let me know in the comments down below, because yeah, I don't fully get it. Maybe it's just to convert your blues into more damage. I have no idea. 2 Inertia Trap. This is kind of cool. Being able to make Zen take off turns, make Azalea take off turns, I think is very powerful. The 1 of Razor Reflex, 1 of Spreading Plague, 1 of Eradicate. We got some spicy tech in here. Having 1-ofs of all these cards, I think is kind of cool, because it makes your opponent like second guess themselves, right? If you Spreading Plague them once, maybe they're less inclined to want to block with a bunch of cards in the future, even though you don't even have another Spreading Plague in your deck. Really spicy include here, though. I think this could actually cook is Rowdy Locals. Rowdy Locals could make use of a lot of those tokens you just get, off of your Arousing Wave or off of your Undertow Stilettos. It's also interesting to kind of just present this with like Dagger, Rowdy Locals. Then you have 1 floating and no cards in hand, but your opponent knows they can't just say no blocks, because if they say no blocks, then you could Undertow Stiletto or Arousing Wave and then just discard the token that you get off of it and make your opponent discard as well. I think this actually really cooks. I haven't seen anyone talk about or play this card since this has come out. But I think it's well worth testing. I haven't actually got any reps into it, but conceptually it makes a lot of sense to me. He's also sporting the new specialization, or the legendary Sacred Art card, which a lot of players have cut. So that's a bit interesting as well. Rocking a pretty regular equipment suite here. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Of course, Van Brands for the Enigma matchup. Cane Lantern for the Kayo matchup. But yeah, I like this. A lot of refinements and innovations at the same time. So I think that's cool. A lot of spicy 1-ofs, a lot of spicy 2-ofs. Only thing I'm just not quite sure on, and I think this is a me problem, is I just don't quite fully know what Exude Confidence is in there for. So yeah, shout out to that player for taking it down with Nuu. Valentine able to take down the Austria Nationals with Enigma. This Enigma deck, if the last one wasn't a day 1 list, this one certainly is. I think I have seen this list before somewhere. Sporting the 3 Shimmers of Silver, 3 Haze Bending package with Vengeful Apparition to flash them out. Waning and Waxing. 3 Restless Coalescence, only 1 Dissolve Reality. There's none of the new tech in here, really. It's just Amnesia. There is no Weakest Link. There is no Pummel. There's not even the new glove that gives a card +1. This is just really leaning heavy into the ward package, and even playing 3 Dense Blue Mist, which is like, yeah, the tech of old. 3 This Round's on Me, 3 Warmongers. This is like how we were cooking with the list at first. And it just goes to show that, maybe we were onto something originally. Maybe the whole community had a good list here and then just changed it too much to deal with Zen. This player, if they were able to dodge Zen with this list, seems very good into the rest of the field. All right, and then EMAD was able to take down the UK Nationals with Zen. I actually watched this one on stream. It was a really good game. I thought it was very well played from both players. But just to briefly go over the list, they're playing AB2, Spellvoid 2 in No Rune Gloves, Tide Flipper, Spellfray Cloak, Spellfray Tiara. And then they're also playing Talishar instead of the Zephyr Needles. I personally like Zephyr Needles a bit more because you're able to weave them in. You're able to play an Arcane Lantern with them. If you don't have the 2 resources, it's okay. You could just attack with 1. And then even if your opponent wants to block and break the needles, they have to go under rate to break them, right? Most cards block for 3. And if they're blocking a needle that's presenting 2 damage with a 3 block card just to destroy it, they're going a bit under rate to do that. Whereas Talishar, I guess you could fully commit to blocking for the first 3 turns and put this hero quite under rate. I'm sure he's only bringing it in matchups that don't really have a good time blocking though, so it could work. Time skippers just to not get ALS looped. This one is crazy to me. If I played against a Zen and they presented time skippers to me, I wouldn't even know how to react. I don't even play the cards to facilitate the ALS loop, I don't think, into Zen. I think I cut so many of them. I'm not sure. I mean, it's possible, but without Vestige, without Tome of Divinity and whatnot in my deck, it would be very hard to pull off the ALS loop. But maybe his playtest circles have found something different. Tide Flippers, notably also very good against Dash.io, all of the T-Bone decks trying to target your equipment. Being able to have Tide Flippers and just kind of mitigate the first T-Bone every turn is quite powerful. And then for the main list, they're playing just the blue and the red Bonds, the blue and the red Descendant Gustwave. I think this has become the norm, and I kind of like to see it. I thought the yellow was a bit much, a bit too counterable, a bit less consistent. Pretty regular stuff. Most decks are playing Blanche instead of Blanche. This player's gone with the weakest link, Oasis, Respite, and Snag instead. A lot of players are cutting Snag, so to see this player kind of still giving Nuu a lot of respect is quite interesting. 3 this round's on me and 3 Warmongers. Pretty regular side deck. Again, just a little bit of refinement here and there. Not a whole lot of dramatic changes in this list. Notably not playing any of the blue Create a Crouching Tiger in your hand card. I forgot the name of it at the moment. But it's kind of interesting that he's not playing that. I wonder if he's maining this round's on me or something instead, or maybe he's maining Warmongers instead of that card. But that blue card seems very good to enable Transcends. Maybe it's not necessary. I suppose it's not, right? Because EMAD was able to take down the National Championships with it. So huge congrats to him. Moving on, we have Playman from Bulgaria taking down the Bulgarian National Championships. First place with Dorthia of all heroes. Kind of interesting, kind of inspirational to warrior mains everywhere. This looks like a pretty regular Hatchets Dorthia deck from metas past. If you just went back in time 3 months, grabbed a random Hatchets Dorthia deck, you could put it here and I wouldn't notice anything out of the ordinary. The only thing that's different is I guess they're playing Battlefront to Bastion. They would normally just play Red Agile Windup or something as a 7 power popper, but this player giving a lot of respect to Prism, playing 4 7 power poppers in their deck. But yeah, just going to show that Dynamos is still a very good card, and Hatchets just give you a lot of value turn by turn. And when other people are so focused around exploding or preventing your opponent from exploding, very combo-centric meta we're in, just playing a good old 2-2, moving your Valiant Dynamos counter is still good enough. Oh my gosh, hold on, I'm just now noticing too, there's no Arcane Barrier in here at all. None. 0 Arcane Barrier. That's insane. If he played against a Viserai or a Vincent or a Kano, obviously, he would just get blown up. I guess he's okay with that, though. All right, next up is Julio winning the Indonesian National Championships. First place with Kayo, Armed and Dangerous. This Kayo list looks very, very familiar. Playing the Clash of Might, no Clash of Agility, no Yellow Agile Windup, playing only 2 Enlightened Strike. Is this all sounding familiar to you? It should. This list is very, very, very close to the second place US Nationals list. I think he's playing a bit more of these 2-for-6s. I don't think the US Nats one was playing 3 Weakest Link and 2 Amnesia, so he's got a bit more hate for Zen in here, and you know, putting a bit more hate, a bit more of those 2 for 6s that already slot very nice into your deck. Being able to put them in to try and get a slight edge in the aggro mirrors could go a long way. AB3 and Spell Void 1, and still being able to have his Savage Sash. Probably just putting the pressure on Kayo and then still having AB3 to back it up. Seems quite strong as well. But yeah, nothing too out of the ordinary. Again, just a little bit refinement on what has already been established as like stock Kayo, stock streamlined Kayo. Just a little bit of refinements in that category. Next up, we have Velastamil. I'm so sorry. I know I'm butchering that name. Winning the Czechia National Championships with Dash.io again. This Dash.io is very similar to the last, sporting that equipment hate in Outpace and T-Bone, playing all of those 4 attack breakpoints in Dive Through Data, Outpace, Rocket potentially hitting an item. This one isn't quite the same. There is a lot of differences, but I guess like the core main strategy is still there. This player's playing 3 BIOS update and only 7 Boom Grenade, which is kind of abnormal. Less equipment hate as well, only playing the red outpaces, not playing the blue ones, not playing Fender Bender either. This player is also playing Payload. I imagine this is probably a side deck card, probably because it's a popper. And then the Dominate is also good against Fatigue, kind of pulling double duty with that card. Playing a lot more of like the OG boost cards, playing all of the zipper hits, all of the 0 to 60s, and then 3 red and 3 blue throttle. And then a bit more setup with the optical monocle. This Dash.io list is a lot more what we're used to, right? We're used to seeing something closer to this than the Slovenian winners list. This one's a bit more different, right, with the soup up and all of the outpaces and the fender benders, whereas the Czechia list is a bit more return to form. Also having Balance of Justice and Stonewall Gauntlet probably gives him enough of an edge in the Zen matchup that he felt like he didn't need as much equipment hate. So yeah, huge congrats to him for being able to take it down with Dash.io. Another list I want to look at is Ponkage's list from the Battle Hardened Seattle. He was able to take first place at the Battle Hardened and then second place at the PTI event immediately thereafter, with just the most fantastic and streamlined new deck I've ever seen. To give him a plug really quick, he did do a full deck breakdown on the Teklo Foundry's YouTube channel, so go check that out if you haven't already. He goes very in depth, explains it card by card. But the gist of it is he was trying to target Zen with this deck, kind of conceded his Kano matchup, not bringing enough Null Rune to kind of combat it. He figured that if he brought AB3, it wasn't a winnable matchup anyway. He said Censor was a house of a card, being able to call Descendant Gustwave with it, which I always say you call Bonds with this card, but after hearing his reasoning, it does sound like Descendant Gustwave is just objectively a better pick. And then a lot of go again with 3 E-Strike, 3 looking for a scrap to be able to clear those big Enigma boards, or just kind of in the slower matchups in general, just being able to present enough numbers to actually close and win the game was huge for him. But yeah, I'm not going to get too into the nitty gritty of every card. I just thought it was a fantastic list. I kind of wanted to show it off a little bit and go check out his in-depth analysis of it if you're curious on any of the choices here. And the last list I want to talk about is Hayden Dale and Dr. Dan McKay's list that they were able to pilot to a top 4 at Australian Nationals and a win at the New Zealand Nationals. This is the Dash deck that they played. Just to kind of go over it really quick, they had this little package of equipment hate with 9 T-Bone and 3 Magnetic Shockwave, probably pulling a lot of weight against Zen. Also having the Stonewall Gauntlet and the Balance of Justice, again pulling a lot of weight against Zen. Being able to gain the edge in the aggro mirror, the 3 high octane, 3 max velocity. You're also able to push past and clear the Unbreakable Prism and Enigma boards. Interesting though is that they have opted to not play the normal 3 induction, 2 plasma purifier package in the sideboard that we are kind of used to seeing with Dash Inventor Extraordinaire at this point. Also a big standout change is Habani Blaster. Kind of makes sense when you're spamming out T-Bones and Sprocket Rockets, 0 to 60. So many 0 cost boost cards in this deck. Obviously Twin Drive. You could put a lot of counters in Habani Blaster and get a lot of value out of it. The one of backup Protocol Red, of course, is just for the Spark of Genius target. I very much like this list. It's very like core, standard, exactly Every card has such a purpose. It's kind of what we're used to, and fully optimized every single card in this list. It seems like it has a lot of purpose. Again, leaning into that 4-attack breakpoint with the Pulse Wave Harpoon 0 to 60, Sprocket Rocket Red being able to potentially get that to a 4-attack breakpoint, and then just kind of saving up for big Tech Low Pounder, max velocity, high octane turns to push over anyone trying to fatigue you. I think it's a great list. I just kind of wanted to showcase that off to everyone. That's all we got for you guys today. I may make another one of these like next week when all of the final national championships lists come pouring in. I may do another one if I feel like there's enough cool things worth including. Thank you so much for watching. Later, gamers.